38 years. 38 years is in our story. 38 years ago, anybody can do quick math, was 1987. Does that feel like a long time ago? Some people, yes. And some people, no. Right? It feels like yesterday. Yeah. 1987. I almost said 38. That would have been wrong. Not 1938. 38 years ago. So what happened? What was it like 38 years ago? What do we remember? Oh man, it was pre-internet. Oh no. What to do? I was trying to describe to my children what it was like before the internet. And I think they think I'm crazy. I was like, yeah, if you wanted to know the answer for something, you couldn't ask Alexa. And they were like, well, then how did you know? And I said, you'd have to get in your car and you'd have to drive to the library and you'd have to try to find the right book that told you the answer. And they were like, for everything? Like, they use it for spelling. You know what I mean? This is their dictionary. If they have a hard time spelling something, we teach them even, use a resource. Ask Alexa. Just go find it. There's so many opportunities for you to know how to do anything. You can just go ask something. What else was it like? I wasn't around, okay? So tell me, what was it like in 1987?
You had to use maps or the Thomas Guide.
You had to use maps or the Thomas Guide. Okay, I am old enough. My first gift when I got a car.
That was before swine this morning.
Oh, yeah? My first gift when I got a car was maps. And my dad is a big map guy, so I had every map, not only of California, of Southern California, of the whole state of California. They didn't even fit in my glove box, right? He also gave me one of the whole United States. I was like, Dad, I'm going to the store. You know what I mean? I'm going around the corner. What else was it like? Telephone booths, yeah. Your cord was still mostly attached to the wall, right? A lot of rotary dialing. They came out with buttons somewhere in there, right? Isn't that amazing? We didn't really have buttons on there yet. Answering machines, yeah, definitely. We still have those. What? Pagers.
I had to make sure my husband's pager was on because I was pregnant.
Pagers, yeah. And did you guys all use the secret code, or was that just a teenage thing, where you'd say hello, you'd write all the numbers out? No, it was just the beeping. Just beeping, okay? Pagers were a thing. 38 years is a long time. I know that things have sped up in time over the last 38 years. It seems like with technology especially, the life has really changed. There's a lot of things that have moved forward. But either way, even then, 38 years is a long time. In our story, this man was ill for 38 years. And he had been beside a pool, a healing pool, also known as Bethzatha or Bethesda is the other version that if you translate it, we've got the pool of Bethesda. And it was known for being really, really, really deep. In fact, so deep. And there would be times when something would happen in the water. Even in our story, it talks about it being stirred up. And Jesus comes up to the man and he's talking to this person. There was lots of people who would come to these pools to be healed. You see, everybody that had some sort of illness or some sort of struggle, part of the problem with the cleanliness laws was that it would remove people from society. Is that it would keep people on the out. You couldn't be a part of the normal life if you were considered unclean. Now, for some things, that was normal. When women had a baby, they would have a time of cleansing afterwards. There was nothing wrong with being unclean. In fact, everybody in their life would have times of being clean and times of being unclean. But you had to be clean again to join society, to be a part of the gatherings, to be with people, to be in synagogue with people, to show up where synagogue was the gathering is what it means. So when you're talking about community life, there are people, if you were unclean, or if you had a deformity, or if you had an illness, or if you had something that kept you from being clean, or just kept you outside of folks, then you were alone. The real killer of this whole thing is loneliness. It's still a killer today for those who are poor, who are those who are on the streets, who those who have lost their homes. You see, there's certain things that come with it, and part of those is community. The ability to invite somebody to your house and you be able to go to their house. These are the kinds of things that build friendship, that build strong bonds with people. When you eat together, well, you have to have a space to eat. You have to have a group to be a part of. Jesus sees a man and he says to him, "Do you want to be made well?" Do you want to be made well? And the ill man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. And while I am making my way, someone else steps down ahead of me." This person who is ill. Now, I'm sure that everybody who's ill wants to be healed. Everybody who's struggling wants to stop struggling. But it says that he's been sick for 38 years. Now, we don't know if he's been sitting there beside the pool for 38 years. That's unlikely, but it's what I imagine. My imagination says that this man has been sitting next to this pool for 38 years, and every time the water stirs up, every time there's a chance for cleaning, anytime there's a chance for healing, anytime there's a chance that he will be made well, he tries. He's tried this before. This isn't a surprise. He says, every time I've tried to get down there, someone else gets in the pool first. For 38 years? Well, Jesus doesn't have to help him into the pool. Jesus does something better. And Jesus said to him, "You stand up, take your mat, and walk." At once the man was made well, and he took up his mat, and he began to walk. This man who had been beside the pool for some time, probably not 38 years, but that's the only thing I can imagine. For 38 years, this man waited. And then one came along. Not just one who had the power to heal him. You see, everybody who knew of Jesus was excited about this Jesus. Everybody who heard about him, that's why he had such large crowds of people following him. There were times when Jesus can't even speak to the people in front of him, so he has to go out on a boat so that he's not touched by people. Or there's times when he's moving through crowds and there are people literally trying to grab the hem of his robes. There were people who would come out, thousands would come out to him on the side of a mountain, and they've all forgot to eat. They were so excited, they left the house. They have nothing to eat. They have nowhere else to be. They all show up, and Jesus feeds them. Jesus was not just exciting, but Jesus was something special. He was somebody who could heal. He was a teacher. He was a leader. But how many other people came to the pool of Bethesda in 38 years. This is a commonplace, a place that is known. Where are all of the leaders of the community? Where are the rabbis? Where are the teachers? Where are the good people? Most people think that they are good people. We think often that we are good people, aren't we? We do good things. Where are all of the good people? In 38 years, not one of them showed up to help the man be lowered into the waters when it was being stirred up. Oftentimes when we know who Jesus is, he seems unreachable. He seems too mystical. He is too powerful for us. And it's part of the problem with the command when Jesus says to follow me. You know, Jesus says to normal people, he says, follow me. When he says it to fishermen on the side of the sea where he grew up, and he says, come follow me, and they drop their nets and they follow him. And he's talking to rich people, and he says, sell everything you own and follow me. And he's talking to Pharisees and people who are already leaders in their own right, who have already gone through schooling and have gone through a process to become who they are. And he keeps telling everybody, follow me and follow me. And you got to let that stuff go, and you got to walk away from, he says crazy things like you got to walk away from your family, and you got to leave your dad to, leave the dead to bury themselves, and just crazy things. Jesus keeps saying these words over and over and over again. Follow me. It's interesting here, Jesus doesn't say follow me. He does say pick up your mat and walk, which will not be forgotten. Pick up your mat and walk. But he doesn't say follow me here. And he says it to so many people. And the problem with that is that we're not Jesus. Right? If 5,000 hungry people are on the side of a mountain and they all come to me and somebody says, you feed them, I'm going to go, I don't know how to get to the grocery store fast enough. I don't know how I'm going to possibly do this. Feeding the 5,000 just seems unimaginable. Have any of you ever fed 5,000 people with a few loaves of bread and some fish? Connie's close. She had a restaurant, right? She's like, I fed 5,000 people before. Has anybody ever touched somebody and they were magically healed? Has anyone ever said to somebody who was sick for 38 years, you are made well? And it just happens? I think this is the problem. This is one of the big barriers for us, because it's hard to imagine what it means to be a follower of Jesus when we can't do the things that Jesus does. We can't do the things that Jesus did. And yet Jesus, his call is to follow me. Now then we go, well, it's just a metaphor. We don't actually have to do anything. As soon as we turn this into a metaphor or something that isn't real, Jesus doesn't really want us to do what Jesus did, because that's not possible for me. There are people who have the power of healing that proclaim these things, that they can touch people and they are healed. I have never been able to do that. So this claim or this idea that I could be somebody who follows Jesus is really hard to get my head wrapped around. And what does it even mean? What does it mean to be a follower of Jesus? I'm going to give you 5 more seconds, and then I'm going to come out and I'm going to ask the question again, okay? What does it mean to be a follower of Jesus? What? A believer. What else? have faith. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Do good, have mercy. Do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. You did a great job. Do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. Folks, I don't expect anybody to walk up to somebody who's been waiting for something for 38 years and just to say, not even touch them, and say, you have been healed, and for it to be made so. The man who waited on the side of the pool for 38 years never expected that of anybody either. The man was hoping for one person to come along who would help him get into the pool. The man was hoping for one person in all of that time to help him move from the side of the pool, from his mat, into the pool when it was stirred up. It only takes one. It only takes one in 38 years. It only takes one person to come along to change somebody else's life. The expectation for us to follow Jesus is to do justice in this world and to love mercy, to love the people who don't deserve it, to do justice and to love mercy, love the people who don't deserve it. It doesn't matter if they deserve it or not. It doesn't matter who that person is. When there is somebody who has been waiting for however long to get into a pool, the expectation is for us, the followers of Jesus, to do something. This is not a metaphor. The idea of following Jesus. No, when Jesus was alive, he kept talking to people. And I think they kept thinking it was a metaphor too. Like, yeah, just come with me. There were only 12 people who were called the apostles. There were lots more who were called the disciples who followed Jesus. But there were a lot more people who heard the message, who heard what Jesus had done, who had seen Jesus, who had seen the most amazing miracles that could possibly be imagined of the time. And Jesus kept saying these words, to follow me. And there were a lot more people who didn't follow Jesus than there were who dropped everything to follow him. Folks, to be a follower of Jesus means to do justice. It means that God is with us. And God will do amazing things. We don't do those amazing things. Even the people who have the power to heal, even the people who are able to do miracles, even the times when miracles happen, those are all still the works of God. But there still requires people, you and me, to do justice. To do the work of justice, to feed those who are hungry, to help those who are poor, to be with those who are alone, to see the need in somebody else and to care for them. And it doesn't matter whether you think they deserve it or not, because we are called to love mercy. There is no deserving or not deserving. We are people of mercy. We are people of love, of grace. We follow a God who is gracious, who gives love to everybody no matter what they do. So I'm going to ask the question one more time. What does it mean to follow Jesus, to be a disciple? And the answer is that we are required, if we are going to be a follower of Jesus, to do justice, to love mercy, and then to walk humbly with our God. God is not dead. God is alive and is with us and is on the journey. In fact, every time we are still, God is calling us to start moving again. This man who all he has known for all this time is his mat and the side of the pool. Jesus doesn't say, be made well. He says, be made well and pick up your mat and get going somewhere. Folks, Jesus is not standing still. And if we're going to follow Jesus, we've got to do something new too. Do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. And the last thing I'll say is this. It only takes one. You are supposed to be the one. You are supposed to be the one. You're supposed to be the one who does justice. You're supposed to be the one who sees the man in need. You're supposed to be the one to help the person into the pool. That's what it means to be a follower of Christ, is the person who does the thing. And it's probably uncomfortable, and it wasn't allowed at the time, and you're going to become unclean when you touch the person, and it might not be what your community is doing, and it might not be expected of you by society, and it might not be what you think you were supposed to do or that you were raised to be around. It might not be those things, and yet God calls us to be the one to make the difference in people's lives. We're required to do the work of justice. And justice does not come easy, and it is not often comfortable. And yet, you and I are the one